Welcome to this deep dive. If you look at the portfolio of a typical senior or principal PM, you often see this really distinct pattern.
Flawless engineering, but zero adoption.
Exactly. The architecture is robust, but then post-launch, there's just silence. And for those of you operating at a high level, there's really no greater professional failure than watching excellent technical delivery just die on the vine.
Yeah, it's the classic build it and they will come fallacy. We actually see this in the product and survey data constantly.
Mhm.
Most organizations claim to be product-led, but their actual management processes are either totally self-made or just non-existent.
Right, because we get locked into this delivery mindset where we optimize the build, but we completely neglect the adoption mindset.
And that shift is what separates a project manager of code from what Timo at Product Inc. calls the general manager of your Product Inc.
That is a crucial distinction because a general manager doesn't just oversee the factory floor, they actually own the business result.
They own the unit economics and the P&L. Timo uses Justice Liebig's law of the minimum to illustrate this. If you picture a barrel made of wooden staves of different lengths, the volume of water that barrel can hold is not determined by the longest stave.
It is capped by the shortest one.
Exactly. You can have world-class engineering, so a 10-foot stave, but if your go-to-market execution is only 2 feet high, your yield, your revenue, and impact just spills out at the 2-foot mark.
And in our context, that short stave is almost always GTM execution. The mistake I see senior PMs make is treating GTM as a marketing handoff rather than a rigorous strategic product discipline.
Which is why the Product and 360 approach argues that launch demands the exact same rigor as the engineering backlog.
Meaning a structured project plan with defined scope, budget, and staffing.
Right. But even with that plan, the execution often fails at the last mile, which is sales enablement.
Because we just assume the sales team cares as much about the feature as we do.
Which is a very dangerous assumption. The hard truth from the field is that sales teams often have higher churn rates than engineering and incredibly short attention spans.
I mean, if I'm a rep trying to hit a quarterly number, I do not have time to decipher some complex sales kit.
So if the value props and pricing and objection handling are not foolproof, the product just dies in the field.
It completely dead ends, and it is not just direct sales either. The product and methodology points out a major blind spot for many principal PMs, which is partner enablement.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We are talking about value-added resellers
Yeah.
and system integrators.
Right, the people actually implementing the software. Because in enterprise environments, if those partners do not understand the technical nuance, the customer never realizes the value, and you lose that defensibility.
And you cannot fix that after the fact. The same applies to your internal professional services team. Ignoring these groups during launch is essentially shipping a product without an instruction manual.
And this is where the career leverage really comes in for you. Investing in this launch discipline proves you can drive stakeholder alignment and actual outcomes like revenue instead of just outputting features.
But there is a structural trap here regarding who actually executes this. Timo warns about the danger of dedicated launch teams.
Right, because on paper, a dedicated SWAT team for a launch looks highly efficient.
It looks great, but Product and warns it is actually a cliff edge. Because when that team dissolves post-release, all the focus and know-how just stops cold.
You lose the infrastructure exactly when you need it for monitoring data and course correcting.
Exactly, which is why the recommendation is to staff launch teams with core product team members.
Ensuring that institutional knowledge actually survives the launch date.
Because it all comes down to a simple mantra. Shipping is the output, but adoption is the outcome.
And before we wrap up, I want you to think about this. If your next launch was treated strictly as a product-led growth experiment rather than a static announcement, how would your metrics for success change on day 30?
That is a highly critical question to take away.
To scale holistic product management and stop wasting your product potential, visit www.productand.com. Transform your product culture into a powerhouse of innovation and peak performance with our proven approach and products.
Don't let the short stave be the reason your product fails.
Thanks for joining this deep dive.